stands a new him, emotionally heavy, to be a better man. Ready to free himself of the cyclone and the things that hold him down. His new name will rebirth of what's to
Guys,
be.
welcome to part 3, the last installment of this series. This is the how, or I like to think of it as the execution phase. And you might be thinking, hey Alice, I get what a shield lock is and why it's important, but how do I actually get into one? What are the foundational steps and principles to work out on a shield lock? Well, stick around, you guys. We're going to hear from some of the packs. We're going to do some more sit-down interviews. This will be the execution phase. There's a lot of content around shield lock. It's not an exhaustive list here. We're just trying to get together as much resources as we can and make it easier for you guys to start your journey in a healthy, successful, virtuous shield lock. So stick around, and we'll see you soon.
Adam Andreessen, 42, Excite Bike. I've been coming to F3 for 5 years.
What has been your experience with the shield lock over those 5 years?
In a few different shield locks. I think we talk about the 3 Ps: proximate, periodic, purposeful, and the shield locks that have been the most successful for me have involved those 3 Ps, and periodic is very important. I mean, you got to be meeting on a regular basis.
And how did you end up getting into those shield locks?
When you're posting regularly, you see a lot of the same people, and if you see someone at a beatdown that you feel like you connect with, that's where the conversation starts. See if they're in a shield lock, see if they're not. If they are not, pose the question, and then between the two of you guys, you think about other people that you think would be a good fit, and approach them as a group.
Been pretty successful picking out certain guys to be in your shield lock. Do you have a recipe about that?
I would always tell people who are similar physical abilities, so that you could really push each other, similar life stages.
Tips or advice for guys looking to get in a shield lock or guys that are in one?
I would encourage you to be vulnerable. Talk when you get into a shield lock, just share life with them, and the deeper you go, the more impactful the shield lock is. So that would be my encouragement.
All right, guys, welcome to our very own LOL.
LOL from the Asgard region. I've been with F3 now for close to 6 years. I worked in the mental health space for close to 20 years and been a licensed therapist for about 15 years.
And then what is your experience with a shield lock in F3 or something like that in your life?
Yeah, well, in F3 I've struggled a little bit with shield locks, right? I'm on my 3rd attempt now, and I'm happy to say I feel like this one's got a lot of promise and off to a good start.
Okay.
But I think some of the mistakes that I've made with shield locks in the past is grouping up with friends. So friends that I had outside of F3,
okay,
and then jumping into a shield lock with those guys, which was fantastic in the sense that our friendship deepened, but really didn't get a chance to hold me accountable for the things that I want.
The purpose of this whole series is to get the guys, they know what it is now, they know why it's important, and now practically how do we apply that to our lives?
Sure. So as I thought about preparing for this, I thought a lot about, like you said, my own professional experience with sort of vulnerability and working with people and trying to have productive conversations that lead to personal development. I reflected a lot about the conversations that I've had with other packs, about the things that have made their shield locks successful and the things that have been struggles or barriers to their success in shield lock. And then just like you said, my own sort of personal journey with shield locks and close interpersonal male relationships. Figured I would start with the don'ts so that I could leave you with the do's. I think sometimes default, so we as men, right, we always sort of default, I think, naturally to fix it. How do we fix something? And when you're in a shield lock or when you're trying to focus on personal development with someone else, trying to avoid defaulting to fix it mode or saying, here's what I would do. That's the other part, right? We can sometimes get into competition, right? So if you're doing this, well, if you just do this, you're gonna be fine. If you just wake up 30 minutes earlier and knock these things out, you're gonna be fine. And that fix it mode can be helpful for some things. It's not, it tends to shut the conversation down. It doesn't allow the person that's sharing what's going on to really be in touch with the things that are the emotional side.
So if
what
you don't
they're
want to fix
experiencing.
them, if they're sharing, I'm struggling with this.
Yeah.
What do you do as the guy in the shield lock with them?
Yeah, great question. That's to be curious, right?
Okay.
So to avoid fixing it and really focus on being curious. Well, what's that like for you?
Mm-hmm.
How, where are times where you've been successful with the thing that you're struggling with right now? And putting the focus back on them and being curious about what it's like for them, as opposed to here's what you need to do.
Mm-hmm. So don't try to fix it. Be curious. What else you got? What are some more don'ts?
Look for people who are in a similar situation as yourself, right? So those are the people who are going to have some of the same struggles that you're dealing with, right? There's this idea of a hierarchy, or excuse me, a horizontal relationship, and not a hierarchical relationship. So you want people that certainly people that you care for, that you respect, but not someone so much where it's a big brother figure or a father figure or something like that.
You don't want to turn it into like a whetstone kind of thing.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So trying to avoid those types of relationships.
What is the sameness that we're kind of looking for? Same values?
I think a lot of that helps, right? I don't know that it has to be identical to that, but I think a lot of those things are things that are going to lead you to where you can relate and you can connect, because that's really what you want. You want to be able to connect with someone with the things that they're going through, and be able to feel like you are connected to that person as well. Like they can connect with you and you can connect with them.
I've had that experience. I have kids from 2 to 8, and then you got people that have their, the kids are out, they're empty nesters, and they don't even remember what it's like to have a baby, and you're like, we just don't get this. Even though you have kids, but they're 25 years old.
You're a great person. I really value your thoughts, and like we're just not at the same place right now.
So that's good. That's good advice. It's very important.
Yeah.
How do you, when you set up this shield lock, what are things you ask, or do you give them a questionnaire, or what is that process to try to tease out and find out the similar?
I think second F comes in, cafeteria, things like that, when you can really connect with someone outside of the workout space, and get a sense of who someone is, and I think sometimes you just sort of click.
What are some other don'ts?
Dismissing emotions and focusing on external success, right?
Okay.
So this is an experience that I've had in shield locks, where you share something like, well, I really want to work on this right now, or I'm really worried about this right now. And someone says, don't worry about it. You're doing fine. You're doing great at work. Your family's great. You don't need to worry about those things. Or you're doing, look at all these other things that you're doing well, these external successes that are going on in your life. So, and I think that is where sometimes we can get uncomfortable with vulnerability, right? So when someone's sharing like, I'm feeling sad about this, or I'm feeling less than about this, and we try and shift that, like it's uncomfortable to stay in that place and to be curious about that, right? That can be an uncomfortable space to stay in. So it's a lot easier to shift to, but look at these things that you're doing well. You're crushing it at work. You're working out 4 times a week. You're doing 5 times a week. You're doing great at this and this and this, and you really move away from that thing that the person just shared about, that internal sort of emotion that's causing them conflict or distress. Or
so really trying to sit, if you're sharing something deep and heavy and personal, for me to sit with that and be able to sit with that with you, and not try to avoid just because it's uncomfortable for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And to not shift the focus for them to say, but look at the things that you're doing well, right? Like sit with that thing that they're feeling uncomfortable or hurt or sad about.
Yeah. If you've had bad shield lock experience.
Yeah, I think it's important just to talk about it, to not let it sit. I've talked with guys that have been like, man, I had a shield lock that I kind of knew wasn't working, but I just wanted to, I didn't want to have that conversation because I really like these guys. And then, weeks turn into months and months turn into more months. And I think if you know it's not going to work,
Is it better with that when you know it's not going to work to just get it over with, and for the health and success of everybody to talk about that with their shield lock? And
100% talk about it, for sure. I'm not saying just abandon the whole thing altogether, right? Like see if you can work through it, like put it out there. But if it's the same thing with vulnerability, right? That's something that you're feeling vulnerable about, and that it's likely hard to share. But if you can put that out there and share it, one of two things are going to happen. You know, you're going to get through it together, or you're going to come to maybe someone else is feeling the same way, and you guys can bond around that to get over it, or you can decide, you know, this is probably more of a whetstone or a friendship than it is like a good shield lock relationship, and let's try something different.
So it's kind of okay to end them. It's you don't have to be around it forever. Or anything like that. Hit us with what you think is some do's.
So the do's: curiosity above all things. Try and remain curious. This is one that I wrote down. So a lot of times, myself and a lot of the packs that I've talked to have talked about, we just kind of focus on small talk, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to get into those deeper conversations. And I think one of the things that I found in working with folks in therapy, so this is a really common thing in counseling too, where people will come in and it's hard to go deeper or to talk at a deeper level, right? So they'll focus on things that are surface level. And to do that is to get past that. One of the things that I found is to really focus on like forward thinking. So if you could focus, questions like, if you could focus on one area of personal development, what would that be? Right? So now you have an open-ended question. You've opened it up to that person to talk about something that they could be focusing on, as opposed to something that's like sort of surface level. And then you get curious about that thing. Well, tell me more about that. Why is this important to you? What do you think led this to being an important thing for you to focus on right now? What are times where you've struggled with that? Where are times when you've been successful with that? So just all questions that are not closed. They're not a yes or no response. And that allow you to get deeper by being curious.
So staying curious. That's great. And last two questions for you. What's something that, as a person wanting to get into a shield lock, how can you best prepare yourself to be helpful in a shield lock?
I think being clear about what you want is a good thing. Also, being clear about what the boundaries of your shield lock are going to be. Do you want something where you're meeting every week? And if so, are you prepared to do that? Because I've talked with plenty of guys who've said, yeah, I want to do something that's every week we meet, we talk about these things, and it's like, okay, when? Well, I can't do this, I can't do that, right? It's hard, you know, we all have busy lives, and there's a lot of competing priorities, but if you want this to be a priority, then you have to make it a priority, and you really have to talk with the other people in your life. You got to talk with your you got to talk with your family and say, hey, this is something that I want to do. It's going to take time away on some other night, but here's why I want to do it, and then see if you can connect yourselves with people who share that mindset and want to do the same thing.
Awesome. Last question. So you've been in a few shield locks now. How did you get into those, and what were kind of some takeaways from getting into them, and what's been successful?
You got to put yourself out there. So when you're in cafeteria and you're talking with guys about it, best piece of advice I got about this was from a birthday suit who just would constantly ask, hey, are you in a shield lock? What do you think about a shield lock? And he would make this a part of just like a normal conversation constantly until he found what he was looking for and was able to connect. So I think that's the way to do it. If you decide that this is something that you want to do and you want to make it a priority, like share that with other people. And I think it might not happen right away, but eventually you're going to find other people who also want to make that a priority and who you sort of feel that connection with.
That's awesome. Well, thank you.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, man.
And we'll see you in the gloom, guys. Thank you.
Take care.
Tyler Betancourt, 43, Clove.
How long have you been in F3?
5 years.
And what's your experience with shield
I
lock?
had a shield lock at a very special time of my F3 journey. I was like just coming back into F3, and I got one right at the right time. So it was pretty critical for my F3 journey as well.
What would you say for guys that are looking to get in one?
Well, first, I think you got to let it be known that you're looking. Be vocal about it. Don't get into one for the sake of getting into one, and don't be afraid to walk away from one. But just everything can be trial and error, and but you got to let it be known, and you gotta have the initiative to at least like put yourself out there and try. So
If there's one thing that you could have done better or redo in your shield lock experience, what would it be?
I think like you really have to establish kind of a foundation of what your shield lock's gonna be and how it's going to function. I think that is crucial in trying to keep it a shield lock and not like a club or a group. So really laying down the groundwork of what your expectations are, make sure everybody's on the same page. And then that way, when somebody's lacking, you know, you can call them out and hold them accountable and be held accountable as well.
Last tips for guys looking to get into shield lock.
Just got to let it be known. You got to put yourself out there. I know it's a little difficult, but you know, there's a lot of guys that are also needing shield locks that aren't putting themselves out there. So I think if you can take that initiative, it kind of just will snowball from there.
Guys, welcome back. Right here, I got one of our OGs from Gold Rush, Possum. Go ahead and give us a name-a-rama.
Chance Howell 50 Possum.
And how long you been in F3?
June of 2019.
Wow, okay, so a few years. Or what is your experience with the shield lock?
I got started with this. My first shield lock was pretty early on after we kind of rolled out Q-Source.
Okay.
So once we kind of taught it a couple of times, maybe even one time, I know that with one of our early shared leadership teams, it was kind of an initiative of ours. Like, we keep reading about this, we need to actually do it.
Right.
So my first shield lock was with 3 other gentlemen. Only one of them is still consistently coming to F3. I learned a lot from that initial shield lock because I really didn't follow any of the instructions that I encourage young men to follow now.
Yeah.
Instructions that are kind of laid out in Q-Source, but it was a great learning experience.
Okay.
I've been in a shield lock ever since.
Okay.
That original shield lock went from 4 members to 2. And then me and that other individual, we after a little bit of time, we stayed together and kept meeting until the right person came up. Added a 3rd person, and then added a 4th person sometime later, and then now currently flexed back down to 3 people.
Okay. And how did you, in those different experiences with the shield locks, how did you get into them? How did you actually start it and get it going?
Well, I initiated it.
Okay.
It was something, and I wish I could tell you more about my decision-making process about who. Just one guy at a time.
Yeah.
You know, hey, what do you think about starting a shield lock? And I met with each guy individually initially and asked them and kind of gave them my vision for what I thought it could be and would be.
Yeah.
And then just asked them if that was something that they were interested in.
And at that time when you were setting it up, did you already know kind of what you were looking for, what you needed, what kind of your boundaries and framework of what a shield lock should be in your eyes?
A little bit. And I think I'm glad you asked that question because every shield lock is going to be a little bit different.
Sure.
And what every individual member in a shield lock, even a shield lock that's been together for a long time, they each come to that shield lock needing something slightly different.
Right.
And they each come to that shield lock being able to contribute something slightly different. But I kind of saw the shield lock back then as a small, tighter group that would know me even better.
Right.
And a group of guys that I would know even at a higher level. I didn't go into it with much more specificity than that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that you didn't use the 3 Ps then? Do you use them maybe now?
Use the 3 Ps.
Okay.
That was for sure. I think that's like non-negotiable.
Okay.
I don't think I don't know how you can actually have a real shield lock and not have those 3 Ps.
And that 3 Ps, it's the proximate, periodic, and purposeful, just in case, just to recap on that.
Yep.
Okay. Was there, out of those 3 Ps, was there one more important than the other, or are they pretty much all just, you need them all?
I think the one that, believe it or not, the simplest one is the one that hangs up most people, and that's periodic.
Okay. Yeah.
And they're just, the groups that don't last or the groups that aren't functioning at a high level don't meet consistently.
Okay.
And or they don't meet frequently enough.
Yeah.
It's impossible to build trust without repetition and time, and those 2 things only happen if you're showing up consistently.
And for you guys, for your previous shield lock and then your now current one, what was your guys' kind of schedule for meeting?
Weekly.
Okay. Yeah.
Couple things we've done that it's always been weekly, and it's always been a set day and a set time. And if not everyone can be there, we don't move it.
Yeah. And that's been pretty successful then?
Yeah, I think it's really important. I mean, of course, you got to come to some level of agreement with the other members. If I could recommend one thing, choose a consistent date and time and stay on that.
Okay.
I would also say it probably should be weekly.
Yeah.
If you miss a meeting and it's every other week, then you haven't seen each other in a month. You haven't been able, you might see each other, but you haven't been able to do shield lock business in a month. That's too long.
Right. How long do you guys typically meet for?
It's close to an hour, probably between 40 minutes and an hour, depending on what's going on.
So really one of the big things I want to talk to you about, and that was accountability. Kind of expand on that for the packs and hear more of your thoughts on that.
Accountability is one of those funny things that none of us naturally want to be held accountable.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
It does. Our ego does not like that. And
Yeah.
it will resist that. Accountability also means something different to a lot of us, even within F3. So my encouragement is, my experience has been like, for some, based on conversations I have with guys, some shield locks are heavy accountability.
Okay.
Some are lighter on the accountability. Sometimes the accountability flexes. I will say this though, but from experience, like on the receiving and the giving end, accountability is going to be most effective when it's initiated by the person that wants to be held accountable.
Okay.
And not something that I'm not going to go to you and say, hey, Alice, I'm going to start holding you accountable on something. Accountability is hard enough as it is on our ego. And if I do that to you, then you're going to be resistant.
Can't really self-impose it on other
just
people.
Naturally.
Yeah.
The ideal scenario is you coming to me, or you coming to the shield lock and saying, hey, guys, I have this issue. I really could use some accountability. Here's what I want that accountability to look like.
Okay.
Can you guys help me with that?
Yeah.
And then you all coming to an agreement what the standards are, what the enforcement is, however you want to structure that. But I think it's just critical that you be the person that needs and wants the accountability, or should be having the accountability is the driver.
And when someone brings up that accountability framework, what are the kind of the things you're looking for to help them hold them accountable?
My style is to keep it very specific to the individual.
Okay.
And I know that there are a lot of formats that work for other folks, and they have a list of questions, and I think that's fine as long as everybody agrees.
Okay.
And they really agree.
Yeah.
I'm a little older than a lot of guys, and I have a lot of experience having tough conversations, so I'm not usually searching for like, what do I ask or what do I say? But I really want the person that's asked to be held accountable to drive that stuff.
Yeah.
I want, in an ideal scenario, that guy is going to tell me, what do you have a list of questions you want me to ask you? And then maybe I can insert some options, when we come to that agreement at the beginning. If he gives me, I've had guys in the past, not in a shield lock relationship, but more of a whetstone, like, hey, ask me whatever you want related to this, however you want. That's fine too.
What have you seen when there's a lack of accountability? How does that affect the shield lock?
I think ultimately it can affect the trust.
Okay.
And it tends to, typically, if he really does need to be held accountable on something, and he has brought that to the group, and he's resisting that, then you're going to have to come to a spot where you guys have a conversation. Like, are you just dropping this? Or you, because that kind of issue can take a lot of time and energy from a shield lock.
Yeah.
And the fact is, like, again, all members of the shield lock need to be able to plug in and pull energy when they need it, and they need to be able to plug in and give energy when they need it. So I would just say keep an eye on if things get out of balance, so to speak, with individual members. The chapter 2.5 on accountability in that last section, which I think does a better job of explaining shield lock than the shield lock chapter. Right. It lays out some stuff that in my 5 or 6 years and being part of so many different makeups of shield lock is really true. Stuff I wish I would have read more carefully and kind of paid more attention to when I was forming a shield lock, because it has a lot to do with that. If you don't mind, I'd like to read a little bit of it.
Yeah.
So in 2.5, last section, in addition to a high level of trust, the shield lock must be truly horizontal to be effective in the provision of mutual accountability. This means that the members must be accelerating all 3 of their Fs in the same general direction at the same general pace. This requires shared virtues and roughly equivalent competence in their pursuit. This gets overlooked. So if we're not in the shield lock, we're not moving, if we're not operating at roughly the same competence and roughly the same speed, it's going to be very difficult for your ego to allow someone to hold you accountable.
Right.
If you're 300 pounds and you're trying to hold me accountable on my 10-pound weight loss, is it really going to be effective? We'd like to say it is, because you're holding me accountable.
Right.
But the fact is, I'm questioning, my subconscious is going to be questioning you.
Yeah.
So I have seen a lot of shield locks get really out of balance with this. Third virtue is the unity in the group's essentials, which are those standards of moral excellence that cannot be compromised. From F3's perspective, a shield lock's essentials can be found in the get right and arise from the commitment to accelerate one's fitness, fellowship, and faith, which is proper alignment with oneself, concentrica, and creator. Those are virtues that cannot be compromised. They are essential. This is not a matter of judgment, but of practicality. A man who does not see virtue in the consistent acceleration of his fitness cannot bear fruit if yoked to a man who believes it is essential. So if I'm in a shield lock and there's 4 guys and 3 of us work out regularly in fitness and improving our fitness is important, and one guy, it doesn't have that same level of importance, not necessarily the same level of performance in that moment,
Right.
but how important is it to him? If it's important for that guy, if he's lagging behind us in performance, but it's really important for him to catch up and do that, that's okay. But let's say hypothetically he doesn't give a rip about physical fitness, and 3 of you do.
Right.
What invariably are those shield locks going to be? Be focused on him.
Right.
And then it becomes more of a vertical relationship.
Right.
Us giving advice and us trying to convince that guy, right?
Yeah.
If 3 of the 4 believe in the sanctity of marriage, and we're all married, and we got a guy that doesn't see any value in being married,
Right.
we all know how those shield lock meetings are invariably going to end up at some point, right? So that's where that mutual.
Yeah.
So in order for it to be horizontal, there has to be mutual accountability. And in order for that to happen, we have to be running at the same speed, at the same things, roughly.
Okay. Is there other things that contribute to horizontal mutuality between them? You talked about your virtues and stuff like that, but what about kids,
Yes.
kids,
Very
ages of
important.
that? Okay.
Very important. Station of life. And invariably, much like the physical fitness example, is it becomes a mentoring thing over time because you can't help it.
Right.
And then that becomes more of a vertical relationship.
With the shield lock, is there other stuff that you find that's been vital, either just as important or secondary to accountability?
Trust.
Yeah.
Your shield lock will get what you give to your shield lock, right?
Okay.
So the better you can be at providing what you'd like to pull from that shield lock, the better off the whole relationship is going to be. And in order to build trust, again, it's boring, but it's time and repetition. It's consistency and showing up and getting around each other.
Yeah.
Because what you want to do, like, I think an important thing is when you're forming a shield lock is what if I were doing it all over again, is like, and we've done this with individual members, like, let's read this together. This is our picture of a shield lock.
Right.
If this is the template you want to use, I think it's a solid one. This is our picture of a shield lock. Are you interested at all in this? If they say yes, okay, great. Well, here's how often we're going to meet, and here's for how long, and here's the basic structure of our shield lock. Is that something you're interested in? Yes. And then you have to show up.
Yeah.
And when a guy doesn't show up consistently, you got to consider moving him out of the shield lock.
Yeah.
Because he's not in the shield lock.
Right.
But it's detrimental to you guys.
Right.
Because you need, when you're up here, you have energy to give.
Yeah.
But when you're down here, you got to be able to plug in.
Right. Kind of for the protection of the group, you're going to have to get rid of those kind of guys. Other ways that you've seen guys build trust, you talked about being kind of reliable on showing up to the shield lock. Are there other things that have been important deepening your trust with your shield locks?
So, some shield locks spend a fair amount of time doing things outside of those shield lock meetings together, and I think that's really important.
Okay.
Some guys that's really a good fit for.
Yeah.
I know that for me personally, and some of the folks I've been in the shield lock is working out regularly and about the same frequency. And the reason is, in addition to that hour and a half that you're dedicating to the shield lock meeting on a weekly basis, if I run into a guy in my shield lock and I look him in the eye before a workout, I can tell if he's okay or not.
Yeah.
And it gives me an extra rep of saying, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
And you also build trust by being shoulder to shoulder with each other.
Yeah.
There's no replacement for that.
Right. There's a lot gained just being in the gloom with them.
Being in the gloom, CSOPs together.
Yeah.
Get your CSOP, get your shield lock to do those events that you want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a real that's like an accelerator for building trust.
Right. No, I totally agree. Is there anything else that you need tips or do's or don't?
Spend the time at the beginning of the shield lock on the front end. Get clarity for yourself, and maybe if you have another member, of what do you want and need from your shield lock. Use this as a template and to develop what you want and need, and then be very intentional about choosing, inviting people into your shield lock that are a match.
Yeah.
So that things don't get out of balance.
Okay.
Because it's so important. A lot of guys look about what they're giving to the shield lock, but you need to be looking at, like, what worst case scenario, what can I pull from that shield lock? Right. So if you're going through, horrible, tough times, you gotta look at those guys and say, I may not know them as well as I need to today, but I can see myself getting there.
Right.
So spend the time on the front end. And I would say the other thing is, and again, it sounds obvious, but invite somebody into what your shield lock is.
Yeah.
Give them something clear to say yes or no to.
Okay.
I think that's
Just being involved in the shield lock. Where have you seen yourself grow or mature?
It's taught me over time to pay better attention to my friends and my peers. Like, well, what do they need? I may not need a high five during a workout,
Right.
but maybe he does.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to do it for myself.
Possible. Thank you very much for meeting me. Everybody else, we'll see you in the gloom.
The rise and fall of life's emotional exchange. On toughest peak, a hedge against my fall. It strikes my forward, standing straight and tall. Shield to shield, heart to heart. We are stronger when we start to trust the man beside.